What's good, people? This is the episode of the Option Podcast 175. You can tell I'm rehearsing that for like the third time, but that's the one that's staying in. That guy's Frank Field. The episode starts right now. What's good, Frank?
What's good, man? Thanks for having me on.
Oh man, I'm excited to have you on. Even my intro's excited to have you on. That was quite the attitude that thing had. It's like, oh,
Hey, we're bringing the fire today, man. Let's go.
Oh man, hey, thank you for joining us, everybody. This is episode 175. This is the Option Podcast, along with my man Frank Field, my guest today, volleyball extraordinaire, upstart, God knows what else. I'm Jason DeBillius, and we are rolling. We are here. Daddy is home. So, actually, let's do a little bit of fun. But before we got on the podcast, we talked about the NBA a little bit. Did you see Game 7,
I
Sacramento and the
did.
Warriors?
I did. That was a good game, man. Curry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you take. I feel like you have some thoughts on Curry, so I'll let you start out on it.
I think when Curry has to play, he will, and I think when he's ahead, this it's just like, I mean, he sucks the energy right out of you. You're down by 5, and you got some momentum, and that dude just passes half court. And then whoosh with that shot. That shot looks like a little kid going 1, 2, 3, swing. And and then those big eyes. You take the. I'm gonna give you the wheel.
Yeah, he hit one of those daggers where he came and shot it from like 30, and then did one of those. Kind of like leans into the contact and then falls and just kind of chucks it up,
Yeah,
and it was nothing but net. And it's just like he does that all the time, and it's backbreaking. And
yeah.
I mean, every single shot he took last night was crazy, and dribbling through traffic, doing it in the paint, doing it from deep, doing it from mid range. I mean, he had the whole bag going last whatever 2 nights ago.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, we're like, I'm a former elite athlete, you're an elite athlete, and anyone that's played the sport, like every sport, no, and I did my research on you, the indoor stuff, but you always have a team in your league or whatever where, like, if you're ahead, it feels like no lead is safe, and if you're behind this guy, you feel like, Jesus, that's a wrap. Man, that's
Yeah.
a wrap. This sucks. And that's the Warriors. That's the Warriors. I feel like every time they're playing someone, when that team is up, they're just like, all right, we're beating them. And then there's a couple of players and they're saying, wait for it. you
Yeah, so
know?
I'm a Celtics fan. We played them in the finals last year,
Yeah.
and the game 4 last year when they were up 2-1 on us, and it was just in Boston, and every single shot he took, it just was a backbreaker. It was like, oh, that's going in, oh,
Yeah.
that's going in,
Yeah.
and every time we tried to make a run to try to pull it back, it was Curry would make some crazy shot, and then they have all the momentum back on their side again. Like when he's in a zone like that, he's incredible to watch.
Dude, when he retires, uh, um, because right now a lot of people are calling him the greatest shooter in the game, and sometimes you want to wait for someone to hang up their spurs and then reflect. But man, he's answered a lot of questions, and I think he's got almost. I mean, his performance physically is so sustainable. Yeah, I see him playing almost another decade, right? He's not.
Yeah.
No, I mean, no one's beating him up. I mean, I go back. I'm a old school Knicks fan. I go way back when when you were allowed to foul someone. So, and no one's really bullying him.
Well, he's gotten stronger too.
Yeah.
He used to be a defensive liability, and it used to
Hmm.
be a real problem for him to take
Hmm.
contact, and now he's fixed both those problems. And he's 35, so
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Yeah, he could play till 40. I mean, what athletes do nowadays with playing at certain ages is pretty crazy.
I think Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr, like it was Mark Jackson before Kerr, but Mark Jackson was kind of already kind of instilling that what we call a dog mentality. Get in there, you know what I'm saying? And if you have to, do it, and if you don't. The Knicks and the Pistons, this is way before your time. The flagrant foul wasn't introduced until like 1991. 1990. So, so the Pistons, murder was the same sentence as a parking ticket. So, it's like, wait, it's the same foul if I ticky tack or if I clothesline them out of the air. Cool.
Right, right. It was dangerous back then, man.
Yeah.
You had to come in
Hmm.
the paint at your own risk for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, the Knicks I thought were really good because they're the flagrant foul was already in play, and they decided that one or two were super necessary, right? It's like or Anthony,
Anthony
fouls,
Mason. Yeah.
yeah, Mason, Anthony, Hubert Davis, Doc Rivers is on that team for a little bit.
Yep.
John Starks, Ewing, Oakley. So it was one of those
Hopefully,
things
man.
where like, they get fouled and he's like, okay, and the referee's like flagrant. He's like, cool, and like ejected. He's like, do what you got to do, do what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and the other team is like, all right, that guy's in foul trouble. I need you to go back to back up the lane, and that guy's like. I can't even look at the coach. No,
Right.
no, no, nope. I don't want to. This is
Yeah. How
my.
you feeling about your Knicks this year? I mean, Jimmy
Um,
Butler might come and
yeah.
snatch the soul out of you guys.
Oh, I gave him a Knicks card 4 years ago.
Oh, is
So
that right?
yeah. All right. Actually, it wasn't 4 years ago. You got a minute? I'm gonna tell you the story.
Yeah. I mean, we got time. It's your podcast. I'll let you
Max
do your thing.
Kellerman told this story this way. Max Kellerman said, "Tonight is last night was a college football championship game. It was Monday night, right?" And he says, but there was also a Knicks game at the Garden. So we had the national championship game. We've had, great hockey game. I think, Crosby was playing someone, another top team. And you said you had all of these sports options, and those people chose to watch the Knicks. And he says, as you can imagine, we all know what happened last night. He says, Rose was MIA, no call, no show. Carmelo Anthony got ejected, and they got blown out of their own house by the Pelicans, no less. So he was,
That was it.
he was right. I'm like, I have all these options, and I still choose to watch this team, and I always tell my friends when Dolan sells the team, come see me. So
Yep.
then I was like, I'm from Brooklyn. I'm born in Brooklyn. Let me see what these Nets are about, and maybe my fandom is the kiss of death, right? Because
Yeah. It didn't work out too great either for the
as you can
Nets.
imagine, what happened with the Nets, right? Kyrie Irving thought the world was flat. Kevin Durant won it out, and Simmons, it's like don't even play the sport, and when he
Yeah.
does, he don't shoot. It's like that's like having an outside hitter that's like, coach, I don't serve receive. I just want to hit left side. It's just like, okay, yeah, there's a seat for you right there, dude. So, but yeah, so Celtics is your team.
Celtics is my team, and I want to vent real quick since we're doing the venting thing.
Let's do it.
Boston fans, I'm really upset with us the last 48 hours because we had the Bruins game 7 at home. We lost that, and there was some really weird energy in the building. It was tough. We lost to an 8 seed. I don't know. That was tough. And then we come back and have game 1 yesterday against the Sixers, and it's the same thing. I think Boston fans are just so like the world is ending every single time something happens. And I think as a community in Boston, we need to think about ourselves, reflect a little bit, and fix our fandom for the rest of the series.
Yes. So game 1 was when?
Game 1 was yesterday.
It was yesterday. I'm trying to look it up. Sixers.
And
Ooh,
Embiid
they
was out.
snuck out.
And
Did they sneak that out? They snuck that out? Because my wife actually told me the Celtics won that
this was
game.
great. This was great.
My
We
wife
had,
told me she said, I didn't watch the rest, but I think the Celtics won. So what happened?
no, up 1 with I think a minute left, and it was going to be a bad possession. We were down to like 3 seconds on the shot clock. It was going to be a bad shot, but I forget who it was. Just straight up threw it to Maxey, and Maxey got a layup to go up 1 with 45 seconds left. It's like it's the worst possible outcome that could have happened. Harden hits a dagger 3 to go up. I mean, we need to lift a little curse right here in Boston these next 2 weeks.
No doubt. I have a new respect for Boston fans. As a New Yorker, we were grown and raised to be enemies, but
I'm surprised you let me on the podcast.
Well, here's the thing. My wife went to Harvard, right? So, like the alumni party, we just spent, they let us stay at the dorms 3 days. We spent an extra 4 days there. And I'm like, every bar I go to, last place team, first place team, the crowd was the same, the energy was the same.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this is a hell of a sports town. You talk about Green Bay being
Title town, baby.
Yes, you talk about Green Bay being a sports town. No, Green Bay's got nothing on this. And New York, we have way too many transplants to call ourselves a good sports town.
Mm-hmm.
Look, in the Bronx, you better not wear no Met. You can't even wear a Mets hat in the Bronx, and that's New York too. So the Yankees. I'm gonna just pick another example, but it's not uncommon to see Cowboys fans at the Giants and Jets games. But I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, so that's
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's
nice.
my team. That's my team since 1990. So
Yeah, I'll say this. I actually feel like, I don't know, maybe we use this as a transition back to the volleyball, but I was born in 95, and pretty much from 2000 on, Boston has been nonstop titles with the Patriots and Brady. KG Celtics, the
Incredible Red
Bruins got three
Sox.
titles, Red
And,
Sox got three titles.
yeah.
So it's actually been as an athlete and a player, it's been kind of cool to see all these great athletes come through, and you learn what it takes to
Mhm.
win. And
Well,
I think that's
you were
kind of like
9 years old when Boston got that first one.
yeah, 2004. Oh yeah, I was aware for that though.
Yes. You know why? Because they won in 2007 and I think again in 2011, but there was nothing like that first one.
No, no, and that team was so gritty too. I mean,
Yeah.
they were
It
just dogs who
was
just battled.
like New York called it a Yankees choke job. I don't. I call it a Boston comeback. It was such a good comeback that no ask any baseball fan outside of Boston because Boston remembers. Ask any baseball fan who they actually beat in the World Series. They can't tell you that. They can only
Yeah,
tell you
I
who
only remember the
they
Yankees,
can
right?
only tell you who they beat to get to the World Series. So that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
a significant hurdle. And they're like, all right, we got the Cardinals. Like the Boston fans were like, we don't care. We're winning. We don't care. Do you see what
yeah.
just happened? Four
Man,
out
when
of
you come
seven
back from that, you
times.
feel invincible. That's one of those like, there's
Mhm.
no way you're losing your next round after
Yeah.
that.
So you were 9 when that happened, and we're gonna finish with baseball. We'll hop on the other fun stuff. I'm a big MMA fan too, but you got interesting indoor career I wanted to talk about too.
Yeah.
So before that, from '86 to 2004 was pure misery. 1986. They're up 3 games to 2. In fact, they show a video of the bubbly, the champagne and all that stuff with like 1 out of 2 outs, and they're up 5-2 or some crazy stuff. Bottom of the ninth, and then base hit, base hit, base hit score. It's 5-3. And then
Mhm.
someone walks, and then with Mookie Wilson, wild pitch, someone else scores, and then a ground ball, 2 more score, Mets 6-5. And then they won the next one 8-5. Jesse Orosco struck out Wade Boggs or something like that, which never happens because Wade Boggs only doesn't strike out. That
Yeah.
he with him and between him and Mattingly. So think about like the people a little older than you, just like if you ever saw the documentary when they lost that game, everyone just left that house and just started walking the streets. It looked like not like Walking Dead. Just
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
zombie apocalypse, people walking in the mist, and they were like, it was just like crazy.
Like
Everyone was just
like
out.
Glaze, right?
Yes, just outside, like unless they saw a guy with a Yankee hat, then then the zombie, the slow zombie changes. They'll see a guy with a Yankee hat, then they'll go from the slow, sombering zombie to like that cardio. You know those zombies that are the cardio ones,
Yeah, they're angry, right?
running after cars.
Yeah, yeah.
Then they see a person and just turn off. But so from Rhode Island, right?
Yeah, from Rhode Island,
Yeah.
Coventry, Rhode Island.
The reason why I asked you like before the show, if Roger Williams still had a program, I was at a Hunter before I played overseas. I was at Hunter College, Division 3 for a cup of coffee.
Hmm.
I went back and finished my education at Marymount, but I was at Hunter, no real major, just there to play 1 semester of volleyball before I went overseas. And Roger Williams had a guy named John Harper that was just this he was an outside hitter that was just all world. Who was the coach you mentioned before the
Yes, the
podcast?
coach is Michael Holden,
Yeah.
which I don't know if you knew him, but he
Yep.
was my coach in college.
Yep. Wow. Cool, man. Nice. And their program is gone before you.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know when that. I think it was probably early 2000s that
Hmm.
that was done. But even when I played at University of Rhode Island, that was just a
Hmm.
club team. So there's really in
Yeah.
Rhode Island there's not any D1. There's no D1 programs.
Hmm.
The closest one is Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
But even in New England, I think that's the only D1 program.
Yeah. Who Roger Williams beat that year? This is
Yeah,
'94. Now
yeah.
'94 was a big boom period for volleyball. Like
Oh yeah.
Vassar was actually the only Division 3 school to make the EIVA finals. They lost to Penn State, who won the whole thing that year. So riddle me that, right? D3 team doing that. But there were like 4 D3 teams that were invited to EIVA. And Hunter was one of them. And the only reason why I remember Roger Williams, I think our win against Roger Williams got us in because Roger Williams had already beaten Sacred Heart.
Gotcha.
They'd already beaten
Wow.
they beaten Concordia. They beat American University of Puerto Rico, which was a competitive D2 program back then. So, wow, yeah. So, but we had this guy named Greg Romulus, who was from a family of Haitian players, a Creole guy,
Oh
and
yeah.
we faced Roger Williams twice. We won in 3, and then a makeup game at Hunter College. Greg got 61 kills, which is still an NCAA record. He was
That
61
was side out, probably, right?
yeah, because that'll never be broken, right? And it's
Yeah.
not side out anymore. 61 for 98, 5 errors in a match against Roger Williams, which we lost. It was in Sports Illustrated too. We got mentioned in Sports
Jesus,
Illustrated. It was
man.
crazy. How do you do that and lose?
61
Yeah.
kills.
Well,
Actually, yeah. So inside out, Rocco Baldelli, you know him, the baseball player, right?
yep.
He's from Rhode Island. He played volleyball in high school for Bishop Hendricken, and he had a 55 kill game, and that was back in the side out era. But
Yeah.
God, those games must go on so long. You know, you the kills just rack up.
Nice. So that was that's NAIA. For Division 1, it's 58. McKenzie, Dave
The
McKenzie.
record,
Yeah,
yeah.
Dave McKenzie. I think in 2000. 2000 was the last year before all the rules changed, right? You were allowed double contact was legal now for first hit, libero, introduction of libero, rally score from side out, along with another rule I can't remember, but from 2000 to 2001, I'm like, dude, that was my first head coaching job too, and I'm like, I'm a head coach, and now
What's going on?
and I have to adapt to all these new rules. Thanks, guys. I thought I was
Yeah, they're looking at
used to
you like
this.
you have
Man.
the answers.
Yes, looking at me like rookie, and I'm like, oh, I'm not really a rookie. I'm just I was associate head coach last year, but so you were offered a unique playing scholarship opportunity in Durham, right? Um, talk to me a little bit about that, because I think you were flirting with the beach, and then you were like, wait, this is a good time for me to finish my, to go to grad school and play volleyball.
Yeah,
Walk our
I
fans
was
through
living in
that.
San Diego at the time,
Hmm.
and this program is really cool. There's actually there's a ton of people that have done it, but essentially you go overseas and you get a master's degree in whatever you want to get it in. You can get an MBA too,
Hmm.
and then at the same time you're playing for the England National League and competing there. So it was really cool. So it's you get to play super high level volleyball and then get your MBA or whatever at the
Hmm.
same time, and it was a really cool experience, man.
Did they have short shorts?
No, regular size shorts.
Okay.
It's pretty modern over there in England now. It's not colonial times anymore, you know.
Okay, dude. When I played in Darmstadt, Germany, yuck. It was a red top with yellow shorts with white stripes. At
Oof,
first, I
that's
mean,
not it.
yes, I mean, besides the color clash, right? These are short shorts, and I wore like spandex under those. So my gray, like the spandex shorts, like back in the day, that was
Yeah,
a trend, and I got that sticking out, and I'm like, because I can't. If I wore just regular briefs or whatever, no, you'd see the tidy whities. It was just like, I'm like,
yeah.
what are you guys doing, man?
Actually, you're 100% right because I remember that now that our captain was a Brazilian guy and he
Hmm.
was like, "Oh yeah, we're doing short shorts." So they were like, "Man, I don't even know what the inseam was, but there was a lot of thigh showing."
And everybody calls us sexist. I'm like, ladies, you don't know. Is this, I look at some of my old school people. I'm like, is this something you mofos want to tell these girls before they call us sexist or
Yeah.
objectifiers? So, um, let's take this moment. Let's turn back the clock a little bit further before the beach and indoor. What got you into volleyball?
Yeah, I was a basketball guy. I mean, as you can tell by the way we started this podcast. So I was playing basketball my whole childhood, and then when I went to my freshman year of high school, one of the basketball players hit me up and was like, "Hey, you should play volleyball too." And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this story, but I was like,
It's
"Oh,
a
that's a
girl
girl."
sport.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't want to play that.
Mhm.
And he convinced me to play, and so I tried out, and then from there it was yeah, I just loved it. I loved it so much, and I don't really know even what about it is. I still love basketball, but maybe it's just the community. But volleyball players are freaking awesome. The community is awesome, and since then it's just been like a true love.
Yeah, actually, for a beach, I got a guy, Jeff Schetzel. He was
Oh yeah, I know Jeff.
yeah, I know Jeff. Jeff played for Sacred Heart, by the way.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, he was a dynamic small middle and then eventually outside. But
nice.
um,
You
what
want
kind?
to talk about an irrational sports fan? Jeff Schitzel's top of the list.
Yo, he is. I could have a debate show and we would sell out. Me and that guy, I'm telling you,
Well, he's a lawyer. What do you expect? I mean,
yes,
I don't know if I
yeah.
would take that debate against him.
Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, so he knows everyone fights with their family in New York. So we're born debaters. Um, yeah, and we have debated on politics and this and that, as far back as 2012. But I just think common sense, and I'll touch on politics, when people just start using their critical thinking skills. Jeff and I kind of stopped fighting over stuff because we started agreeing more on stuff, and it's like, that's sad. I used to like fighting with you, same thing,
Yeah.
you know, but I don't know, just like common sense and critical thinking skills. It's just like, you're right. I'm looking for an argument. I don't have an argument here, you know. But yeah, Jeff was starting the Northeastern Beach Volleyball League or something like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and he
Yep.
was at. And I told him, if you need a commentator, I tell him you know, I know a guy, so I'll
I
fly
think he
over.
does live stream it, right?
Yeah, but I told him I'll
Yeah.
fly over if he wants me to. I could
Oh
help.
no, that'd be sick actually,
I could
man.
help put him up. I'm one of the best commentators out there. I'm one of the best commentators no one talks about.
I
Um,
like it. I used to love watching your old YouTube videos when you
yep,
would film qualifiers and film those main draw games, and
yep,
I appreciated the coaching insights on
hmm
those videos. So I
yeah.
mean, a lot of commentators don't do that,
hmm
and I appreciated that aspect of it for sure.
Perfect, because this is going to shape my next question. I'm going to take 30 seconds
Okay.
of how I got here. When I moved to California, I basically had to start over, right? No one knew me and this and that, and nobody cares. Work harder, you know. See the T-shirt, right? So
Right.
what a lot of people don't know is I came with 19 years coaching experience, not a zero on the beach. I only just played in Central Park, and Jeff Schitzer would invite me to Lake George to play fours every year, and you know, fours is really won by the indoor players, not by the beach guys. You know, you got a good oppo, a good middle. You know, you won. You're splitting 1,500. You're splitting $5,000 or $6,000. You know, however money, but whatever that. So I bought a camera, and I just pointed at it, and I started pointing. And that's what got me noticed. Casey Jennings is like, this guy's got balls. John Mayer actually had me work for him as director of operations for LMU. You know, which
Oh,
is
nice.
yeah. So my job was to critique his performances in practice. 5 things I like, 5 things I need to get better. Every practice, every single practice, every whatever. You know, and they couldn't afford me. I only did that for 1 year. Then I called all the Pepperdine's home games, and I called the Big West Championship. You know, Cal Poly in Hawaii, and then Coconut Beach was great. In 2021, where it was a smaller event, it was just more intimate. Atlantic
Mhm.
City was gnarly, but I did my job there. Cameron Irwin was on
Mhm.
court one,
Yep.
so I rebuilt my brand for commentating and whatever. But for coaching, dude, I got lucky. I knew Rafu from New York, and Kevin
Yeah.
McCulloch. I knew Kevin from south of the border of volleyball vacations.
Mhm.
So they're like, do you want to play in Manhattan Beach? We can train you. So I drove to Temecula, and when I was done training with them, they're like, can you coach us? You know, so, and I'm like,
Yeah.
can I coach you? So they had to qualify for the draw in Manhattan, and I just basically just sat there. I was a glorified babysitter. So, but I learned a lot from him. Oz Borges, got to cite him. Oz is a very strict volleyball Nazi, and
Mm.
Jeff Samuels, Jaron Barreto. So these guys helped shape my beach coaching career. And from there, I coached 2 teams into the main draw. You know, Earl Schultz and Jake in 2019,
Yep. Yep.
and Jeff Samuels and Chris Vaughn. So, you know, Jeff's an old friend of mine. So, but that's me. So, but shaping the question to you, you were predominantly an indoor player, and then all of a sudden this beach thing happened. And what were you thinking? Were you just thinking more reps? You're just thinking just fun in the sun, you know, just a better atmosphere to have a good time and hit some people?
I'll tell you exactly what it was. I was a middle for a lot of my indoor career, and I hate playing middle. And it was so frustrating that you get pulled out half the time. You,
Yeah.
you feel like you can't make an impact on the game. When you're on the beach, you have a ton of impact in the game. You know, if you're playing well, you can make a big impact. If you're playing bad, you're in the torture chamber. But I just love that aspect of it. Of you know, you're touching the ball all the time. You get to play and you get to do all the skills. You know, and plus Mike Holden, my college coach, he was a big beach guy too. So he kind of like mandated us. We had to play beach during the summer. So
Right.
you know, once I started that, I just fell in love, and it's fun, man. It's so much different than indoor. It's almost like they're two different sports, you know.
Do you think playing middle indoor has kind of shaped your outdoor personality, selflessness wise?
That's an interesting question.
Because
No, I don't,
there's nothing more thankless
oh,
than
dude.
having to jump every play and not get set, right? Having to
Yeah,
protect the middle and still having to help people protect the wings, you know.
yeah.
And
Quick,
and
quick
and
side
your
tangent, by the way.
and your reward, you get subbed out. You don't even get to play back row D, you know.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
yeah. Quick side tangent. I think that's part of the reason why the new evolution of the BIC kind of bothers me,
Mm-hmm.
because now it's like in order to spread
Mm-hmm.
the game, they use BICs instead of middle sets. And these middles, it already was a thankless position, and now they're getting even less sets so that people can set the BIC. So I feel bad for middles nowadays, man.
Yeah. And the crazy thing was the BIC was innovated by a middle.
Is that
In
right?
1994, that year, the boom period I was telling you about,
Mhm.
Penn State had a guy named Ivan Contreras. He was a middle, and that was running the back real quick. They beat UCLA in 5. They won. And the next year, UCLA beat them 3-0 because it's a copycat league. They self correct and hell,
Yep.
we're gonna use this ourselves.
Yep.
We got clientele. Jeff Nygaard was a middle, and I'm sure he
Yeah.
ran in a
Yeah.
couple of plays. The U.S. national team, Steve Timmons was a middle converted to opposite, so it was very easy for him to run. It wasn't really like a BIC. It was more like a 2. The back real quick is just gnarly right now.
Yeah.
But the reason
That guy
why
can
they were
dunk
able
too.
to do that was because there was no libero back then. Those guys, you had middles that could receive
Yeah, man.
serve. So, yeah. So I think, yeah, you strike me as a very selfless guy, not a very selfish player. You seem like if you need to take control in a doubles game, you could do that. But you seem very good at giving up control. You had a good partner like Tal Shavit. Was a guy that was kind of like, because look, so for the fans listening, there's no such thing as 50-50 control. So this is why I'm even bringing this up. It's always going to be 60-40, 70-30, whatever level have you. But there are no beach relationships where the control is 50-50. It's just that animal doesn't exist.
I think it kind of depends. I think you're totally right on that.
Mhm.
That one person usually kind of is controlling things, but that percentage definitely depends on the partner. With Tal, he's like a quarterback back there on defense,
Mhm.
so I kind of just do my thing and let him make the reads back there.
Right.
But different people, like when I played with Roger in Huntington Beach,
Mhm.
I'd say it was kind of 50-50 between us. And then when one of us would figure something out, that person would just have a new game plan, and then we go from there.
Was that Roger Parent? Which Roger Parent?
Roger Parent, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You made the
I
draw
go
on that.
all.
Did you make the draw on that one?
We did, yeah. We
Yeah.
beat Peter Knoll, Steven Roschitz in the last
That's a
round there.
big freaking win. That is a
Yeah, it was.
big quality win against two guys that can whoop anyone's behind on any given day.
For
Yeah.
sure. I was so happy for Roger, man. I don't know if you know him, but
I
basically he was a stud at Penn State, or sorry, Sacred Heart back in the day.
mhm.
And he chose to, as many people have to make this choice with our sport, he chose to go the business side over pursuing beach or pursuing it or whatever he wanted to do.
Right.
And so he started a digital marketing company, turned into a multi-million-dollar business. And basically, when I was living in Connecticut last year, I had to convince him to come out of retirement. So in July, I convinced him, like, hey, we need more training partners. Like, come out, let's get you back on the beach. And then from July to when we played in November, he was, he got himself repped out and good enough to where we could compete with that team. And that match was one of the most mentally tough performances I've ever seen in my life out of him, because
Yeah.
like they don't know who he is. Like I kind of know Steven and Peter, but no one knows who Roger is.
Mhm.
And he got every single serve, and it was basically on him to, hey, you side out, we can win this game.
Yeah.
If you don't side out, we're not going to win this game. And he was just lock steady that entire match. It was awesome.
You're just like, dude, just do me one favor, just hold hold
Just
your
hold, yeah,
yeah, hold so you can get under it, right? Hold,
yeah.
get that ball has a little extra hang time, just enough time for you to get your peripherals if you want to option it, or square shoulders to the pole and throw it up for him. Cool, man. I like that.
And he just hit every single ball, man. If he was going to go down, he was going down on his terms.
Yeah.
And it was just
Give
so
me
cool
his
to
info
see.
because
He didn't break. He didn't break.
give me his info. He's definitely someone I wanted to talk to and just chat with a little bit.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah,
You'd like it.
yeah. I've seen him on, in various tournaments, and it's just sometimes the qualifiers are like the gladiator pits. There's just there's just so many people, But actually, let's talk about the qualifier a little bit. How fun?
Sure, yeah.
How fun is the qualifier, knowing that it's win or go home? It's like this chaotic scene. And the ones that crack the code are the ones that have something I affectionately refer to as control chaos.
Yeah. I think you're right. It kind of is about cracking the code, right? Because it's a gladiator pit. It's a gauntlet. There's really, I think your shirt kind of like defines it perfectly. Nobody cares. Work harder.
Yes.
That's all it is in a qualifier, man. It's just,
Yeah.
there's going to be adversity. You're going to be tired. You're going to be dead. And you have to just figure out a way to score points and win.
Yeah, and before we explore that further, let me remind our fans that the qualifier, because they should know better, the qualifiers represent the best of the best in each region. right? You got Pottstown Rumble winner in the qualifier. You got
Oh, yeah.
Wapaco winner in the qualifier. Coconut Beach.
Overseas indoor
Yeah,
guys.
overseas indoor guys, Coconut Beach talent. So think about the people that represent the best of all their regions, right? And maybe not enough points to get into the draw. And like I'll give you an example. Manhattan Beach is close to 100 teams, if not 100 teams. Usually clears 3 digits, and only 8 people, right? New York was 4, right? Seattle was 4. Austin was 4. Last year, the qualifiers were different venues, which I love because it just gave people who made the draw an honest chance at making a dent, So not everybody could be Kristen Nuss and Taryn Cloth, right? Qualify, main draw, win it, right? Yeah. Right. That was Atlanta, right? Qualifier, main draw, 1. Go to Australia, right? Last spot on the qualifier, main draw, 1.
And honestly, that's what bothers me so much about these small draws is I think the talent is so deep these days. Anybody can be anybody.
Right.
And we see qualifier teams beating main draw teams every weekend now.
Yeah.
So it really is a bummer that only 4 of these teams get in. And because I think like 12 of these teams that could easily beat main draw teams.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes when an opportunity knocks like that, man, you got to get in. Like, for example, 2019, I was coaching Jake and Earl, right? Earl Schultz.
Yeah.
The 1 seed in our bracket was Duncan Buttinger and Kyle Friend. And when they lost,
they beat us that tournament.
Yeah, they lost to Cervantes, and then they lost to Cervantes. And then Cervantes lost to Evan Corey and Valela, and then we cleaned up against Corey and Valela. Valela had staff, so it was a pretty easy win. I mean, when we realized he had staff, it was really, really hard because I didn't know who this lefty was, this pain in the ass lefty that was just taking middle and just hitting everything clean. Like, Earl's a pretty good blocker. Jake is a back down. He's a great defender now, but he was a formidable, at least a good athlete on his worst day. And this lefty was big smile on his face, eyes bigger than the mofo, right? Just hitting everything and smiling and switching sides, like how you doing? And mad respectful too, by the way. Evan Corey, we talked about.
Totally.
And I'm like, all right, we're not. Do not hit no free balls this guy's way. If we gotta, no hit no roll shots this guy's way. Don't serve to him. We need him to be the best setter if this team's gonna beat us. And then I'm like, why is Valela wearing all black hoodie, black sweats? And you remember that day? It was hot. It was hot as bullseye, right?
Oh yeah.
And we're like, let's work this guy. We're down 9-12 with the technical timeout. And, he still played well. But Earl, I was like, Earl, dude, let's just play win ball. Let's just, Oceanside, let's 4 block. Let's 2 block. He's got to really turn it if he wants that power line. And anything that's cut over, you jump so high, Jake could run that out. So I told Jake.
Yeah, when Earl gets hot blocking, he's a factor for sure.
Yeah, I told him Oceanside, just 4 block, 2 block. Jake could sit on the line and cover any action that's over because it's Earl, right?
But even so, that guy's going to slow down when he's going to hit the overshot anyway.
Yes.
So Jake could sit and read that and then go chase it.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. Jake didn't have to. I told him don't 4 block, switch it. I said Earl, Earl 4 block it if you want, but I want you to stay fixed on the ocean side. Yeah. And I said strand side line, because anything he wrists away, you're just gonna get your left hand in.
Yep.
Just make sure he doesn't split. He doesn't hit your afro, and the best way to avoid getting the afro hit is to penetrate. So God damn it, I'm so sorry. I forgot where we were going with that.
I think the qualifiers are a gauntlet, is what we were talking about. But
the point I was trying to make is it's when you get to the last round, it's always the same 4 or 5 guys who are making the draw. Remember the McKibbins? They were qualifying. They were qualifying machines. You know what I'm saying? It was a foregone conclusion. Then Baranek made the main draw like 7 times with 6 different partners, no less, right?
Yeah,
including Bill Kolinsky, the 2019, all the way to the semis, right? What a ride, huh?
That's what I mean. So that's part of the reason too. Like, I wish they had bigger draws. Yeah. I mean, we had it was what was it in Atlanta 2021? You had Grossell and Vandermeer went to the quarters. So it's talent's so deep now.
But that's what made NY Varsity Sports popular. I could tape 10 matches from the qualifier, tape none from the main draw, and still have my whatever.
Yeah,
dude. Absolutely. How about last year? And the hell with me. Let's talk about you. How about last year? You and Tal against Martin Burek. Longtime old friend of mine, and Brandon
Yeah, yeah.
Joyner, who I don't even care. I don't care that much for Brandon, but I'm saying this on the podcast. But Brandon, I like. I just don't love. But Mark, I love. Mark is a Minch. Yeah, that was what 2018 game
Yeah, that was a
three.
battle.
Talk to me. Walk me
That
through
was a
some of
battle
the
for
last
sure.
plays. Walk me through how you guys were feeling at 15 up on that last switch. Or no,
Well,
there were two
I got to
switches.
go
There's another.
back before I talk about that part of the story because you talk about toughness in a qualifier, and this was a day where I was actually really sick. So I flew to California about the week before to come play Manhattan with Tal, and about 3 days before Manhattan, I got some kind of like fever, flu. I was throwing up. I had got a heat stroke the weekend before from this sickness, throwing up.
Oof.
Had whatever fever, cold sweats, night sweats, couldn't sleep. Took COVID test and I was negative, so I don't know what it was.
Mhm.
But basically, our thought process was, we might bail on this tournament. We might bail on the qualifier. I'm gonna wake up Thursday morning, and we didn't plan until I think noon or 11 o'clock.
Mhm.
So I was like, yo, I'll just wake up in the morning, and if I feel good enough to play, I'll drive down and meet you, and if not, we'll just bail on the qualifier. And I forget, I took like a bunch of NyQuil Wednesday night, woke up Thursday, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I can play volleyball today. I feel
Yeah.
okay. So I drive 2 hours up to Manhattan and then play. And it definitely wasn't 100%, but it was kind of just don't let anyone see that you're not 100% and just conserve energy. I don't think I cheered a single time all day. It was
Yeah.
just, if
Right.
Tal was not right next to me for a high five, he wasn't getting a high five. It was one of those situations. So anyway, we get to the final round, and that's exactly what it was too. It was just conserve energy. Uh, don't scream, don't get too emotional, just stay in it. We beat the brakes off them in the first set, and then they beat us even worse in the second set. So the third set was basically just anybody's game, whoever was going to play better.
Yeah. So I
They
get.
were they were. Go ahead.
No, it's like pride messing with you. It's like, wait, 10-10. We did not score a total of what? 70 points just to lose now. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. We were down 11-9 actually. So it was kind of back and forth the whole time. They were kind of +1. And then finally we got a reel to tie it at 12-12.
Hmm.
So we were down 11-12. They were siding out to go up 13-11. We got the reel 12-12. Bunch more side outs, and then we got another reel to make it 16-15, I think. And we kind of just looked at each other with that look of disbelief, like, all right, we just went up 16-15. We're not losing this game. And Tal immediately comes out, serves a ball that's out by a fraction of an inch, just missed the line. A bunch more side outs in a row. And then finally we come back and I get a block for the win. But it was one of those days where just, we didn't feel like we were going to lose ever.
You know what I wish? I really wish someone had that game. So
It was a good one. I mean, they played
yeah,
awesome. It was just, it was a coin flip the entire game.
yeah. I was at that qualifier. I was cornering for Doc Vandermeer and his
See with
one of his.
Grossell in that one? Oh no, he
No,
was
they
Caesar.
lost to Canoli and Tucker. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he played with Doc Vandermeer played with his friend from Michigan. I forgot.
Oh,
Um,
Pupek.
yeah, Pupek. What a cool dude, man. Had dinner with that guy. In fact, Doc came over for the podcast. We it was like this huge panel. We were talking about hands, and we actually called Ref Dave Carson, as you
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
New
Hey, there's a
Hampshire, right?
Northeastern guy too.
Yeah, New
Yeah,
Hampshire. We called him. He was in the middle of setting up the AVP, and he answered like 20 minutes of questions on hands. It was great, great
he's cool,
episode.
man.
But
I love Dave.
I really wish I had that game because what happened was I was leaving the beach, and you were pretty much the last game. You guys were literally the last game,
Yeah, we got a
you
decent
know.
crowd for that one. I think it was the
And
last one.
everybody started gathering around, and I got my bike, and I was ready to ride off, and I turned around, and I looked at the game, and I looked at like the strand, and I looked at the game, and I looked at the strand, and I just stopped. I dropped my bike, and I changed my mind, and I went back. I was just like, "No, are you kidding?"
We
I
were
waited.
probably like, Bjork's gonna win this one easy. Like, I don't need to watch this one.
No, when you see it's game 3, you just don't know, right?
Yeah,
Like I thought Bjork was gonna win, but I didn't know that. You could serve a ball that's out line jumps. They could serve a ball hits the top of the
yeah,
tape,
totally.
like hard position 4, where you can't get it. It's just a matter of which side it's gonna fall on, right? Like almost every ball you always go to, but there's certain tape serves next to the antenna where you're antenna here or antenna here, where you're like, God damn it, all I can do is much, unless
Especially at that point, so your legs
yeah.
aren't really working. So
Mhm.
it's like, if this ball's not near me, sorry,
Yeah.
that's it.
But let me tell you something. I love players that make that impossible possible, right? Like I just said, there are some balls that are impossible to get to. Then you watch like Ahmed, right?
Oh my God, dude,
Ahmed
he
just
is
freaking
insane.
yeah, yeah. Who's
He,
Go ahead.
no, I just Ahmed's just incredible, man. He hits all these. He has so much range, and then not only to have the range, but then
Mm.
I mean, Sharif's a great transition setter,
Hmm.
but then Ahmed is so terminal too. No matter where he digs this ball, that is an aggressive guy in transition, man.
He'd be golden to have on the podcast. I know he's not much of a talker. I did have Sharif though.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, I had Sharif. I have a mutual friend, Seydu, who played for Cal Baptist when they were NAIA. He was like two repeat champs. And calls him up, says, show some respect, get on the podcast. So Sharif actually didn't even have Zoom, like got a new phone, registered for Zoom, and we did the podcast with him from Doha.
That's awesome, man. Yeah,
In
they're a
fact,
fun team to watch. That's one of my favorite
yeah,
FIVB teams right there.
that was the qualifier in 2021. I was at the qualifier, and I had to leave because I had to do the podcast.
Yeah.
But it was great. I showed him, I FaceTimed or whatever, or
Yeah.
like, and just showed him around like the tent and this and that. Say, I'm like, Kristen or Taryn Close, say hi, Sharif. And she's like, oh, hi, Micah Maha.
Yeah.
But I think the question I was going to ask you, who are your top 3 male defenders in the world right now?
In the world?
Yeah. Oh, let's go top 5. Top 3 is tight.
Top 5. I mean, number 1 is Storm. I mean, Storm is just
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that how you made sure we did that, because everyone gives Maul more of the credit, and I'm just like, no, Storm doesn't get
dude, he
served.
gets every ball. I mean, he's a side out machine.
He really is, dude.
He's a side out machine.
And like untouched, not off the block, not off a dig, not roll shots. Pow, 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 pow. What? Sorum, so go ahead. Sorum's my one. I got 1 and 1A. Sorum and Ahmed.
Okay.
Because
I mean, I haven't seen
Ahmed
much
is
from
not
Qatar
talked
this
about
year yet.
enough, man. Mhm.
I haven't seen much from Qatar this year yet, but I mean, who's getting good finishes right now? I mean, I know
like,
Andre and George are doing pretty well.
yeah. I like Daniel
Czech
Lupo.
team that Czech defender is pretty good too.
Yes, Schweiner.
Schweiner's
Peru.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll let you take it.
I like Daniel Lupo
Yeah, Lupo's
because
good.
every guy he plays with, he wins. Right? He plays with Nikolai. He's winning. He played with Rangeri. He's won some, I don't know what the ranks are, but he's won some Elite 16s, and he's won some four stars previous with him.
Yeah.
He's also a silver medalist, right, with longevity. So reminding people he overachieved at a very young age. So I like my 1 and 1A. So just call him 1 and 2 because I'll change my mind tomorrow if I watch Ahmed play today. He's a defender, and when he gets a dig, you're at the edge of your seat because he's not shooting. He's killing.
He's attacking. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, behind his head, no problem. Craters.
I love his step close. Yeah. His step close is powerful.
Yeah. So my 1 and 1A is Soren and him. My number 3 is Lupo. Number 4 is I like Schweiner, a Peruvic. No, it's Schweiner from the Czech. And 5th, I'll go 3-way tie. I like Taylor. Taylor's balance. Taylor is doing a little bit of twitch after the swing, which is helping him get a lot of roll shots, which is why you don't see him getting a lot of digs at the international scene because they're not rolling out there. But in the American scene, he's like feasting on the other team's offense. It's like he makes it look so easy, and his positioning, he's sat there anyway. So he's like decided I'm gonna twitch afterwards because my arms are out anyway. So
yeah.
So you see him get a lot of sick digs, and it looks like he's showing off, but that's actually a technique.
Yeah, the one arm stuff.
Yeah,
right?
It's a technique that him and Rich Lamborn's working on, but I'd never teach any of my players to do that. But that's Taylor Krause, so what the hell do I know?
I wonder if it's tougher with that ball too, as opposed to like the Spalding we have here, or sorry, the Wilson.
Yeah, maybe. But I will say you this: you've seen watch an international game, you'll see like them hit a hard driven ball, and his twitch, the ball's already gone by the time he even twitches. So he's not twitching before the swing like you do indoor. You do like this little non-exaggerated twitch that allows you to make one move. One
Yeah.
move to the ball off the tip, one move to the ball off to protect yourself. Men's indoor is a different animal, right? Sometimes that game's won at the net, dude. Right?
Sure.
Ain't
For
nobody
sure.
digging. Oh, sure, give that guy a line. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Give him
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
So
Who are
yeah.
your other two?
So I got him. I got Guto. As far as defenders
Oh
goes,
yeah, I mean he's a freak.
he's his side out game could use a little help, but he's creative in play sets. Like I saw a game he played Jeff Samuels in Satterfield, and he passed, went to the pin, and then last minute just ran inside for a two.
I mean he never gets
Yeah, and
tired too. That guy can run
he
all day.
the dude he satisfied Ian, man. It was crazy. Yeah. So 3-way tie, him. Schmidt, I had Schmidt last year, but Schmidt retired. Bruno Oscar Schmidt.
Yeah, he's incredible.
And Alvaro.
Okay, so you don't have any of the Swedes on there.
No. Their transition game's good and their side out game's good, but they got to come up with digs. They put up a lot of pressure on people with serve, I guess, which makes them a good defensive player. Hey, give it the end of this year. I could change that.
He's getting better. I mean, he digs the hard driven really well. But it's kind of like the opposite of Taylor, where Taylor's anticipating and reading.
Right.
I think it seems like the Swedish guys are just taking their zone for the most part.
Yeah. Well, that's good for energy efficiency too. Like sometimes,
and with the way FIVB is played too, because it is just kind of see and hit for the most part.
Yeah, and so honestly, it's like I ain't stabbing my gas tank. They got that point. I'm setting myself up for the long game. I remember Alice.
I don't see those FIVB guys get tired ever. Like they never, no matter how many games they play, they look fresh.
Well, the conditioning's different because the coaching's different. The coaching's I'll just say it. The coaching's superior. The coaching's superior on the men's side, And I know the women's scene, we're killing it. Like it's very American top heavy. Like 1 and 2 is probably Kelly Chang and Hughes and whatever and this and that. But you take into consideration that is a boom period of girl players. That's a 4-year period of this team, and then 4 years later this team, and everybody else in between that 4-year period are equally as savage. Right, like look at Tina Gradina. Right, Tina Gradina played for USC. I'm not letting Anna Collier, Dane Blanton jump in front of that parade. She was the best player on that team as a freshman. You know what I'm saying? That Norwegian guy from Long Beach State that played with DeFalco that graduated the year before, whatever. Yes, that dude was the best player in the team coming in. I ain't letting Alan Knipe, mad respect. Alan Knipe actually made some important introductions for me that helped me out here. But I got to keep it real. He ain't jumping in front of that parade. That dude was a baller before he came here. So, Hawaii's had a lot of international players on the scene like that. Penn State has. So, yeah, the coaching's better because of this.
Nobody cares. Work harder.
Nobody cares about your feelings, dude. You walked out of practice crying. Go good. Go cry and come back. It's that Eastern European thing that seeped into Western European culture that you still see in some of these Division I programs. It's just that coaches it's weird out here because coaches got to watch themselves if they get too far. Bob Bertucci, right? Got fired for hitting the kid.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, actually, I've coached that kid, Dylan. Good kid. Really good kid. I feel bad.
I feel bad for the kid, but I'm just like, Bob, man, get your money's worth. Knock him out cold,
I guess.
I'm kidding.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding.
That's a tough move.
No, but I'm like, yeah, I just think this generation of kids, some idiot out there did some study and said that the best way for the kids to be the best in the world is this one way to do it. And I can't I've never seen a championship team that was exclusively one or the other. One was positive reinforcement and one was tough love. You will see like John Mayer, 100% positive reinforcement. WCC champs. Will never be an NCAA champ. And I hope he's not listening to this because John's another guy that gave me my shot. But he's another guy that I'm trying not to bite the hand that fed me, but he deserved Coach of the Year. In fact, in 2020, he won 31 games in a region where he loses all his recruits to USC and UCLA, right? In the NCAA's, they beat UCLA and LSU the same day. But
Yeah, but I
you
do
got to
think
have that mixture.
coaching women, especially like high school girls, is tough.
Okay.
I've done a lot of that back east, and you really don't want to coach negatively.
Yeah.
Like they're just kids,
Yeah.
and especially you don't want to. I pretty much do positive mostly, and there's a little bit of negative too, but I don't know. I feel like nowadays it's really you don't want to cross the line. There's a
No.
lot of bad things can happen when you cross the line, so it's almost better
Well,
to just stay away from
no.
that.
And you gotta know if you do, you have to know how. Like right now, I'm at LAVBC, LA Volleyball Club. Jason Olive, former All American, great guy. It's been asking me for a couple of years. I finally said yes because the mission statement is what was more significantly than the talent. Right, South Bay, you're right. South Bay, we can coach anybody out here and look good. And I have. In fact, I got 8 players right now that are playing
Mhm.
NCAA beats right now. 8 players that I coach playing right now in their junior and sophomore year. But these kids, I mean, God, one kid. There's a story about this kid. Their home situation, which I'm not going to divulge on whatever. And you see what this girl's going through, and she comes into practice, and she's got this big smile on her face, and her eyes light up like she's never seen it
Yeah,
before.
that's her escape, right?
Yeah, and Jason Jo comes up to me. He's like, "Dude, girls like this are the reason why I made this club." And I'm like,
100%.
so we understand because at that age group, this is 13s now 14s, right? You never want to set up an atmosphere where the girls loathe coming to practice, right? So, and like you said, tough love. If you don't do it with a grain of salt, where they take it a certain way, they're just gonna be like, "Oh God, I got to deal with this guy again." I got homework and now I got practice. Great,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. And
Instead
I
of,
think part of it is they need to know that it's for their best wishes too. Like there's a trust aspect. Because that's from what I've researched and understand is that
Mhm.
if you instill trust and you know that what you're trying to help them with is in good intentions and not just I'm being just to be an sorry, I don't know if I can swear on this.
No, it's the
Uh,
option.
leave that out. But I think they're okay with it for the most part, as long as they know you have your back. You know that you have their back.
Yeah. Like for me, if someone's like on a dig, like I don't usually do long lines. If you see a line, the kids on a line in my practice, the line is moving really really fast. It's boom, they're moving in, they're moving out because there's certain drills where they're switching in and out. So you never see this long line of girls with like their hands on their hips waiting their turn. So and I always warn my girls, I'm like, this looks like a line, but you're gonna get. I'm telling you, you're gonna get caught. Like, oh crap, I'm next. I gotta get. So I'll tell a joke where like there's only supposed to be one girl on the court, but the girls on the line are on the court behind her, and I'm like, excuse me, why are you that close to her? Are you trying to, do you want to buy her a drink? Are you trying to buy her a drink? Is this what's going on here? So that's my example of tough love, but at the same time, I made him laugh.
Yeah,
Like if that's a girl that takes that another way, you got to cater to that too. So,
hard to
so
know. That's
some people, as a general blanket, are just like, let me just be safe, positive reinforcement for everybody because I'm covering all my bases.
yeah,
But also, this tough love shows the players that you have a side that they acknowledge that you're paid to coach, but you're not paid to care. Caring's free of charge, right? Positive reinforcement offers the illusion of caring, and as a default assume you care. But when someone's hard on you and you still believe they care anyway, I'm telling you, what doesn't destroy them makes them better. you know
100%,
Gym was hot as
100%.
hell yesterday, and and we weren't diving in the tournament, so I had them do something called typewriter plunge. So from sideline to sideline, they're low as hell, side to side, dive in the middle in groups
Okay.
of 2. So second group, side to side, dive. So somewhere in the middle, you have a ball. So when they finish their side to side, you just throw it up in the air, and now they're compete pancaking. So now there's
Yeah, nice. I like that.
because you had to change the drill. I'm like, you're in a gym, and there are girls that don't want to dive, and I'm like, you're like, you got to be kidding me. This is volleyball,
I
right?
hate that. I need
Yeah.
hustle.
Yes. I'm like, no, but that was the problem in the tournament. People weren't diving; they were turkey trotting because my coaching style is positioning is so good. It's like these girls are like, if the ball doesn't come to them,
Oh, it didn't come right to us?
yeah, I'm like, why don't you take these 2 legs because they specialize for walking like a
Yeah.
mammal, and just do that. So the gym was hot. They're diving in the beginning of practice, and you'll love this. Use this line for your practice. Become the fire or be consumed by it. It's hot. You're doing something you don't
Oh, I
particularly
like that.
like,
Yeah.
and the conditions are unruly. You have to find something about this you like and embrace it. Because if you don't, a 2 hour practice is gonna feel like three. You know,
Sure.
but if you do, it feels like 2 minutes, and you're like, that's it. Wait, we gotta go. Practice is over. Isn't that a great feeling as a coach when your girls are like, oh.
Yeah. 100%. That, and when you tell them something, you see that light bulb moment go off. I mean, that's
Oh.
like euphoria, man.
Oh my goodness, dude. So you got practice after this. Is this practice for you, or are you coaching
Yeah.
club?
No, I'm just I don't have time to coach right now, unfortunately.
Hmm.
I wish I did. I miss it, but it's basically just work and then like my own training stuff.
Dude, the kids would love you, man. The kids
Yeah,
would love
someday,
you. You look
someday.
so freaking friendly, man. It's just like Coach Frank. That's what I'm gonna call you from now on.
Sometimes, unless they're not hustling or being a bad teammate, then they might not like me as much.
I'm jealous. A name like Coach Frank, that's to describe you, and that's your name. The
Yeah.
dude is
Hey, wait,
straight
before
up.
we jump off, I got one question for you. I wanted to ask.
Tell me.
All right, so we got to keep this quick because I got to go. But
Okay.
we started with basketball. I want to finish with basketball. In the context of this, I'm a huge fan of like post mid range footwork, like the technicality of it, like the Kobe's, the Jordans, Kawhi's, Carmelo Anthony. I think that's just like artistry in motion. Some of this post footwork stuff. When you think of volleyball, whether it be indoor or beach, what would be the equivalent to that in terms of the artistry of volleyball?
Oh, the artistry. Um, Doing the things that you were taught as a junior, right? Like I see Jeremy Casper do like this dig like this, and that's cute. But the game, to me, the game is more beautiful when you go out there and you hold it. Right? There are some people that do these explosive approaches at the end. They explode in the beginning, explode in the end, and that's their signature. But the game looks more beautiful when you follow this technique. And in an indoor game, when everyone's footwork is the same, when everybody's flow is the same, it looks like art. It looks like I don't know, like art. That's the only word I can use to describe. So to me, the game is more beautiful when you do it right, right? Tina Gradina's a goofy foot, right? And she can rock it. Phil's a goofy foot. Karch is an interchangeable guy, but the game looks more beautiful when you see a whole bunch of people out there like synchronized swimmers and fans that you're trying to attract to the game can get lost in it. Just like, oh, this is volleyball. This is a sport. This isn't a game like Parcheesi. This is a sport,
Yeah.
And I think that's where you're going with your question.
Yeah, I think of it as approach footwork too.
Right.
But I'm asking you more in the context of like for an individual player, like you can tell that Kobe, Jordan, Kawhi are
Right.
different
Right.
because they are so refined with this
Yeah.
footwork,
Yep.
right? And I think it's harder in volleyball to have a very specific thing that's yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, he's an expert or she's an expert at this aspect of the game.
Right.
I also think though it's maybe footwork and especially like transition approaching.
Right.
Like that's almost very like technical artistry when you're doing some transition footwork.
Yes.
And
But
I've
look,
always tried to figure out what that comparison is.
well, the comparison is taking something that you know is proper and doing it until it's exhaustive. You look at Kobe, look at the GOATs, look at Kobe, look at Jordan. Their footwork's the same.
Yeah.
Kobe wanted to be like Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's any human being, never mind basketball player, that got as close to Mike as someone can be, someone a little longer, a little leaner, I bring you Kobe Bryant. So that's why I said that the game's more beautiful when you do it right. And think about the reps that those two had to do
Oh
do to
god,
get to where they got to go.
hours and hours and hours.
You ever see the movie Rocky? Mickey, the coach said, in order to train for a 45-minute match, you have to train for 45,000 minutes.
Yeah.
Like a 15-round match, you're a bum. Hit it till it hurts. I want to use my left, Mick. If you do, I'm gonna chop it off.
That's a good Mickey, man. That's good.
Oh man, I love it. Hey, give me 60 more seconds because these are lightning round questions. Okay, 60
right.
seconds. I have a count. I literally have a clock. There's my
Here,
clock.
let me get it.
All right,
60 seconds.
You
Let's
strapped
go.
in? Go. All right. Favorite comedian?
Bill Burr.
Nice. Last good book you read?
Um, I would say 11 Rings by Phil Jackson, or what's Jordan's trainer's book? I'm blanking on that one.
Got it. Marvel or DC?
Marvel all day.
Pool or beach?
Pool.
Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Star Wars.
Bourbon, vodka, or tequila?
Depends on the vibe. I am trying to get away from a tequila guy, so I will say bourbon.
Favorite sport outside of volleyball?
Basketball. Yeah, you know.
Nice. Favorite action film star growing up?
Pass.
Favorite morning sports talk show?
I'm a big Bill Simmons guy, so.
Cool. Any fun conspiracy rabbit holes?
No, I'm not a conspiracy guy. I know you wanted to get me on that one, but I'm not going down that.
Nice. And that's the horn, baby. And anyone plug in your IG a little bit, let people know who you are.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to say Matthew McConaughey, Interstellar.
Nice.
Is my favorite action star.
Nice. Mine was Arnold. Of course,
yeah,
of course, I'm a Terminator. So plug in your IG. People want to know more about you, know more about Frank Field, coaches, players, fans.
Yeah, it's my name, Frank Field IV. I'm the fourth, so Frank Field IV on Instagram. Please give a shout out to my boys, Lost Traveler, as well. Josh Fay makes the best gear in the game. If you're a club that's looking to get gear, fully customized gear, shorts, warm-ups, tanks, jerseys, whole 9 yards, that guy goes awesome. So big fan of him.
Nice. All right, guys, listen, Frank Field might love you, but I don't love any of you guys. In fact, I can't stand any of you. In fact, we are out of here. So for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPads, for all of you on your desktop, who runs the world, baby? Old school, baby. Old school. So for my man Frank Field, this is episode 175 of the Option Podcast. I'm Jason DeBiss. We're going to hit my music. Stay with me. We are out of here. Come check out the Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.